just said is very important. Some people try to just take shortcuts, but when you're building those relationships and you do a very good job, even if you wait years, these people move around in companies and they end up coming back if they really like you.
Don't be mean to recruiters.
Rule number one.
Exactly. Just be nice.
Welcome, Glen. Welcome to Ask an Expert podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, MAHDI?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I am excited about this episode. As I told you, off camera, I am excited for this independent consultant episode since it's been a while since I had an independent consultant on the podcast. So that will be great. What I like specifically about you is how I remember how tech savvy you are. Specifically compared to other independents. So I'm looking forward to talking about all of the tools that we independent use to do a better job with our clients. But first, beforehand, I'd like to talk a little bit more about how you entered the ecosystem. As you know, I came right from school. A lot of people I know went right from school, but it's not your case. So I'd love to know, how did you make that jump? How did you enter the ecosystem? I think over 10 years ago, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, first off, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's an honor. Been following you and your podcast for a while, and I love the conversations that you bring to the Workday ecosystem. So for me, for those who don't know me, my name is Glen Abajian, and I've been in the Workday ecosystem for over 10 years. I started my journey actually in other software companies. So prior to Workday, I had experience in talent management software as well as a payroll software. And ultimately, my goal was to work with Workday. And started my journey with a partner in October of 2014, where I gained experience across various industries, implementations, and really am so grateful for my experience with the partners, with on the partner side, that essentially gave me the confidence to make the leap to becoming an independent consultant about 2 years ago.
Nice. So you said that you were on the talent side. I know that you're certified in talent in Workday. You said you were also involved in payroll, but you're not working with payroll anymore, right?
Correct. To be fully honest, it wasn't an area that I wanted to dig further
Dive
into.
deeper.
Yeah. I gained a lot of experience in software, working directly with clients, troubleshooting in that software. However, I knew going into Workday wasn't really an area that I wanted to keep my focus on.
hmm Was it a strategic choice to have like a background in talent and then asking for the talent certification, or was it just pure luck when working with the partner?
It was pure luck.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough to obtain the roles that I have, based on my limited experience and exposure to software in general. So I'm grateful that I had those opportunities.
No, that's good. I think I relate to that as well. When I came into my first partner, it was pure luck as well. I didn't have any preference or any say over the certifications that I had to take, but I'm grateful for the certifications I took because those are my expertise today, as much as yourself as well. There's also something very interesting. I think in your story, I think you're one of the very rare consultants who stayed, I think almost a decade at a partner firm. I want to know from my personal experience, how did you like reinvent yourself or reinvent your position so that you can grow and keep growing within the same company? Because what I hear these past few years is that you kind of feel stuck and then you do the exact same thing over and over again without the possibility to grow. How did you live that in your personal experience?
Yeah. So are you asking more why I stayed with one company or one partner for that length of a period?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, maybe why, but also how, because it's they are closely related. Like you stay longer because you're satisfied, you're satisfied because of your own input and also maybe the management and the culture, etc. But I'm curious about like what you did in your case.
Yeah. So as the Workday recruiters are very assertive, to put it nicely. So I distinctly recall when I changed my LinkedIn status that I became certified. Immediately, I would say I was contacted by 10, maybe 15 recruiters that week, which is a bit much when you just get into the ecosystem and you're like, oh wait, should I have taken a role somewhere else? However, I spent a lot of time there because of the support that the partner provided. I was always given opportunities, you could call them stretch opportunities in areas that I may not have been exposed to otherwise. One of those being in the reporting areas. I remember I wasn't put on an implementation immediately after I became certified and did a lot of sort of post go live reporting items where I kind of needed to learn and figure out things. Um, I had a great network, learned how to use community, use my resources available, and do a lot of testing that the partner that I worked for provided. I think I stayed there for a while because they allowed me to learn, allowed me to pursue different areas that I showed interest in, and not to toot my own horn, but they, saw the potential in me and allowed me to lead projects early on. So yeah, I think I stayed there because they gave me those opportunities to learn, work with a complete vast set of different clients, not really focused in on one industry or area.
hmm I think this is very useful for a lot of upper management listening to the podcast because uh, I don't know, maybe it's because of the feedback that I'm getting from the market, but it seems like before because of the variety of projects of workday projects that we had, maybe we had that opportunity to fully train people, give them time, give them stretch opportunities as you call them. But now it seems like go go go, we have this project, there's this go live in like 2 weeks, just do it and then do it again in 2 months. But happy to hear that you had a different experience.
Yeah, back then I would say launch was non-existent or maybe in its early
Yeah.
stages, so we didn't see a lot of clients going live with that methodology. So we did have those lengthy implementations where it was your way implementations, and
hmm
we got to improve the relationship with clients. They were getting what they needed from their statements of work, and we were able to provide sufficient post-go live support.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think the key words here is those stretch opportunity, because as you've been given those stretch opportunities, you're kind of reinventing yourself, you're learning more skills, you're getting exposure to new areas, and that's what makes the job exciting. And then with all of this environment, then you stay longer for sure. So okay, happy to learn that. It's definitely good. I want to go back to that recruitment piece that you said, because I think every workday consultant has the same experience being bombarded by these recruiters. How do you deal with them, back then versus today?
So back then, I would ignore them. I think a lot of us ignore them. You certainly want to keep a relationship open, in case, for whatever reason you are in a position where you need a job. So you're certainly not going to say anything negative to them. Um, but now I try to keep the relationship open even further in a sense that I almost always reply to recruiters, even if the role has nothing to do with my area. For example, I will receive multiple inquiries about Workday financials, which is not really an area that I have specialized in or have any exposure to. So even if they do present those opportunities, I'm still going to respond, letting them know kindly. I may put my response in ChatGPT to make it a little bit of a nicer tone, to explain to them that I need, I'm looking for XYZ opportunities in the HCM areas.
Got it. Yeah, I do remember back in 2018, I think I got my first recruiter message maybe a month after I started in the ecosystem. but it was good for me personally because it just opened my eyes in regards of like what's possible in the ecosystem. I was so new and I didn't know, what were the possibilities, so that was good. But yes, as you did, I think I didn't reply much until I became independent. Funny enough, when I went independent, I went back to all of these messages. Like I searched on LinkedIn, and then I looked at all of these past messages to make sure that I replied to all of those. But
Well, it's funny, yeah. I did the same thing, and I even took it a step further, where when I knew I wanted to make the leap to an independent role, I created a document of all of the recruiters' names and contact information,
nice.
so that if I were in a bind, and kind of needed another role soon, I could easily reference it and contact them. So it has been a valuable tool to be in contact with those recruiters, um, no matter how much they contact you.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the different tools that we use shortly. I want to go to near the end of your partner experience. What made you think about independent consulting? Did you know other people who went independent who shared their experience? I want to know a little bit more about your mindset there.
Yeah. So I think going independent was a big decision for me. I'm someone that is extremely risk averse. So that may have been another reason why I stayed at one partner so long, is because I didn't want to ruffle the feathers or anything. The idea for me actually started back in 2017, where at that point I was a few years into my Workday journey, working with a partner and still kind of figuring out where I wanted my career to go. And funny enough, my wife and I, took a trip to Peru, and while we were there, I met a consultant who worked independently in the PeopleSoft space, and we got to talking. He shared how going independent gave him more control over his projects, better work-life balance, and the ability to focus on the work that he actually enjoyed. And that conversation just kind of stuck with me. And at the time, I was kind of feeling a little boxed in by statements of work and the way projects were structured. Um, I was often leading one work stream, but maybe not getting a whole lot of exposure to others, which kind of made it a little bit harder to expand my skill set. So beyond that, I started noticing that a lot of statements of work were not always what were best for the clients. And there were times when we would deliver exactly what was scoped or even more than what was scoped. But once we went live, we quickly needed to make adjustments or updates. So um, I always sort of had this in my head that, if I worked by myself, I could really give clients what they need without feeling boxed in. So that was 2017. And then in 2021, I created my LLC thinking, this is the right time. But again, being the risk averse nature that I am, I waited 2 years to actually make the move. It was shortly after the partner was acquired, and I just kind of wanted to change it up for myself.
Okay, cool. Very, very good. Tell me about the first contract that you got. This is always something that you remember.
Yeah. So to keep on your conversation about kind of the intro to independent, it was a few months before I, you know, put my 2 week notice in because I was continuously networking and talking to independent consultants, especially former consultants that worked at the partner that I worked in, kind of learning about their transition, how they find work, and keeping in contact with them, talking with recruiters. So the first contract I found was actually from someone that I connected with
Mm-hmm.
that saw a posting on LinkedIn from another company. This consultant that I was talking with was a time tracking and absence consultant and didn't have the skills or expertise for that specific role, but he forwarded it on to me, introduced me to the recruiter at the company, and that's essentially how I got my first contract. Just talked with them, had a few interviews,
Yeah.
and once I signed the contract is when I put my 2 week notice in. So it's a little
Okay.
scary for sure
Yeah.
because you're in the same company for over 9 years and you're going back to interview and you kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
brush up on your interview skills and
Buy a
kind
new
of start
suit.
fresh. Yeah, exactly. Buy a new suit. That's right.
uh, did you that time tracking and absence consultant? Did you like specifically message them to networks, and then you heard about that opportunity?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
LinkedIn has, you can find people in your network or even find people outside of your network based on certain criteria that you can filter on.
Yeah.
So I've, looked at people that, formerly worked at the partner company and seeing where they are now and just kind of scrolled through the list and just reached out. Um, we
Yeah.
may or may not have worked on a project together on an
Mm-hmm.
implementation, but yeah, it's a lot of cold messaging to recruiters, to other Workday customers, and a little bit going outside your comfort zone if you're
Yeah.
introverted.
No, definitely. I think the first time that I had to cold message someone, it took me like days just because I was overthinking about like, oh, what if they don't like it? What if they don't like the tone? What if But as you do it, you become very comfortable, and then you realize that most people who don't reply is because they haven't seen your message or were too busy, not because they're mean people. I was saying about cold messaging. You realize by cold messaging tons of people that when they don't reply, it's not because they're mean people. It's just because they're so busy or they haven't seen your message or maybe your email went to spam. It can be a thousand reasons when you're cold messaging people online. I'm sure you had the same experience.
Yeah, absolutely, um, and you can't take it personally.
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's a numbers game. Um, there are other independent consultants and companies like Well-Built Solutions. I'm
Yeah.
sure you may have seen them that have kind of taken a different route and started posting a lot of excellent free advice
Yeah.
that really shows that they are experts in the Workday ecosystem. And instead of them reaching out and cold messaging, it sounds like and it seems like there are clients coming directly to them because they are showcasing their expertise. And that's something I've thought about, something I've kind of thought about putting together items in the areas that I specialize in. Um, another
Yeah.
way to sort of brand yourself.
Yeah, shout out to CC and Mia from
That's
Well
right.
Built Consulting. I'm subscribed to their newsletter, and the amount of value that they're giving for free, like it should, you know, other newsletters are putting a price on it, so it's really good. And yes, definitely when you're creating content, whatever the platform, people feel like they are indebted to you because they're like, oh my god, like this so much free value, like if there's anything that I can do to give back, then they can. And when you're a hiring manager and you need their expertise, it's like the easy route to take. And so now it's been 2 years that you've been independent. And as I said at the beginning of the episode, what I liked about you is all of the tools that you shared with me a few years back. I'm thinking about one particular tool that I am still using till today is Calendar Bridge. It's the tool that connects all of your calendars in one, just so to make sure that you're not missing any meetings when you have more than one client at the same time. Not all clients allow it, but when they do, it's a lifesaver. What made you so interested in those tools? Because it's not, by the way, it's not natural. Like a lot of people I talk with, they just work. They're not looking for specific ways to optimize their workflow, etc. Where did that workflow optimization come from?
Yeah, so I'm all about efficiency. I hate doing things manually. If there's a way I can automate something, um, that and I can sort of build logic into my daily or weekly tasks, I'd try to find a way to or a tool that's available. Like you said, Calendar Bridge is a great tool. However, a lot of clients have very strict security standards, so you're not always able to use it.
Yeah.
Um, I think one of the most difficult parts for me, at least starting out as an independent consultant, was just managing multiple clients at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You're juggling different organizations, timelines, different calendars, different emails. It can be a lot when you're used to only focused on one email address,
Yeah.
working at a partner firm. So for me, making sure my calendars are aligned, deliverables don't collide, and nobody feels like they're getting less attention, takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
You have to be really organized and proactive with your communication, or things can fall through the cracks. Unfortunately, I'm working with a few clients right now that don't meet the security requirements, so I can't use Calendar Bridge,
Yeah.
although I really want to. Um, so
So
yeah.
y- do you need to do it manually, or have you found another solution that you can share with us?
I do need to do it manually, but I have reached out to Power Automate
Mm-hmm.
experts to see if there's another possibility. So for
Yeah.
those that are not familiar, Power Automate is, I guess, an automation tool that you can use to complete tasks. Um, Not sure if it's possible yet, but just seeing if it is, because
I-
this
Is it a
short term.
Microsoft product?
Yeah, it is a Microsoft
Yeah, yeah, it
product.
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I think
that's right.
I think I've seen it. By the way, for the note, like when you're using Calendar Bridge and then you find out that the client doesn't meet the security requirements, it always says like you need to send a request to the security admin from the company. By the way, I always send that request and no one ever replied. I tried like 5 or 6 times with like different clients.
Oh,
No one
really?
ever reached out to say like what's Calendar Bridge, like blah blah blah. They
They
just
just
deny
approved
it.
it.
No, no, no. They just deny it or
Oh,
don't reply
oh,
at all.
okay.
So, yeah, you end up with the same situation.
I went as far as you going to their like security page and trying to almost sell it to the
Yeah.
clients that I'm working with, and they still deny it. But
Yeah.
it's understandable because it does access your the company's
This.
calendar, so it
Yeah.
is pretty encompassing.
Yeah. But I'm curious to find out if Power Automate can do something because it's a Microsoft product. So it seems in a security standpoint, it might work. So if there's a solution, we will post it somewhere on LinkedIn
Oh,
maybe. So.
definitely, definitely.
And then another process that I took, especially when I got started, you said that you had a Word document. I was using I'm not sure if you're familiar with Notion, the app. So I had a Notion board with all of the recruiters and even the positions that I was seeing online with like the statuses, so that I'm like I can track if I'm being interviewed or rejected or just waiting. And so it's easy also to follow up with the right recruiter and follow up with the right people when you're just waiting for updates.
Oh, that's great.
Some
Yeah, I've heard of Notion. I'm familiar with it, but haven't used it yet.
yeah, I've used it for years, especially for content. But now I'm moving from Notion. I'm using ClickUp now to manage my work. I'm not sure if you, by the way, do you use any software for to manage your like project works or let's say tickets or whatever that you have from your different clients?
No, actually, I mean, I'm able to sort of consolidate a lot of the work within Outlook. Kind of just trying to utilize, Outlook's functionality. Um, some clients use ServiceNow, some are still not on a ticketing system, so I don't know if it would be possible to do that. Um, some even just reach out to me on Teams, like say, can we do this or how do we do this? So there's just so many different methods that each client is using that I don't know if it would be possible to consolidate them into one piece of software. I'd love
Yeah,
to, but yeah.
that would be the dream. No, I
Yeah.
don't think you can do it automatically with all of those software. So yeah, it's either manual or you just keep everyone in its bucket. A last message maybe from you, Glenn. I still talk to a lot of consultants who are interested in going independent. They still have this, hesitation, as we all had. Any few tips that you can give them to help them in their journey?
Absolutely. I have quite a few tips.
Yes, let's do it.
So, first is just mastering Workday's core concepts. Just understanding, how business objects relate to each other, how to create calculated fields. I think so many consultants are scared of calc fields
Hmm.
that they don't get into it. Fortunately, recruiting was an area that I worked on early on, and it required a lot of calc fields in order to be successful in that area. So just learning how to even utilize report fields and values, which you may be familiar with off of a business
Hmm.
object or an event, and kind of seeing how business objects, fields, data sources all sort of tie into each other and understanding that framework. Um, I think that's the first part. That like knowing that
Yeah.
really gave me confidence to go out on my own.
Hmm.
Um, Second, I would say is build your network. I know we talked about it, but you know, don't be mean to recruiters.
Rule number
Um,
one.
exactly. Just be nice. You never know when you're going to need assistance. We saw a lot of layoffs earlier this year, and who knows what's
Yeah.
to come. You always want to, you don't want to burn any bridges. So I think that's rule number two. Um, for me, also document everything. So if you create a really complex custom report or calc field
Hmm.
or a condition rule or even a dashboard, take screenshots, take notes of
Yeah.
everything you did because you never know when you're going to need to utilize it.
Yeah, I love this one, by the way. I have a quick comment. So, reports are the easiest thing that you can just save for your own notes because that's your report and it's like one definition that you can just recreate for other clients. Um, but it's specifically conditions. I'm thinking for myself, by the way, like the time entry validations that I create a lot and they can be very custom. I always save those because other clients in the same industry can ask again. So a very good note. It's not, by the way, not a lot of people talk about saving those configurations.
Yeah, you have to. I've even 10 almost 11 years now in the ecosystem. I still reference the one note that I saved from I don't know 20 maybe since I started out. Even just simple calc fields that I use today. So it's definitely important. Screenshots, downloading reports, like you said. It's kind of like your personal knowledge repository.
Yeah, exactly. Love that.
Yeah. Um, Definitely utilize all of your resources. Know what resources that you have are available, whether it be community or independent study, or even lately I've been utilizing Reddit, which I know may not be the best
Nice.
advice, but it is a great area for quick responses when community might prove otherwise. Reddit
Hmm.
has a lot of experts, or even experts at your own company.
Yeah.
Ask a question on community. There are a ton of people that are um, th- willing to help you in the ecosystem.
Love that. Um, in community, I think I tried maybe twice asking a question. I got answers for twice. Unfortunately, very late answers, so I couldn't use them. But typically, people reply in community. I don't really use Reddit, but now that you're saying it, I should try it for sure.
Yeah, it's you might not always get an answer, but it's always interesting to hear what people might say. So
Hmm.
certainly another resource. As time goes on and you build relationships with other consultants, you should be able to bounce ideas off of each other. I still reach
Yeah,
out to consultants that I worked with, um, and ask them for advice, and vice versa. I get asked for advice as well. So yeah, you should be always communicating.
yeah. Have your little group of reference. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Um, I One other piece of advice I would say is learn how to troubleshoot. Learn how
Hmm.
to test things out on your own. You're not always going to know how to do something the first time, but try to figure it out, because the more times that you fail figuring it out, the more you're going to learn how it's actually supposed to work. Whether it's just knowing how to search, use the search bar. You might not know what the name of a report or a task is, but try to using some keywords in the search bar. You it won't hurt to try to search for something. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's when you fail and then you learn from it that it sticks in your head, by the way. So even if you cannot download every piece of configuration that you do, but when you troubleshoot it enough, then it just stays in your head forever.
absolutely. Kind of along those lines, I said it earlier, but knowing how to utilize report fields and values. If you're trying to
Yeah.
build a condition rule or validation rule, knowing like report fields and values will help you troubleshoot immensely, because you'll see what fields generate off of an event or a business
Hmm.
object, versus what fields don't. And maybe the calc field that you created doesn't, and that's why your condition rule isn't working. So um, I
Yeah.
think that's a extremely helpful tool that someone just mentioned to me early on in my career that I use daily. So definitely use that.
No, I love that. There's something that I discovered. I think maybe less than a year ago. You can click on the related actions of any field, and then it can gives you the report fields associated with that field. I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about or not.
I don't. I usually do the related actions off of like a worker or candidate or an event,
Yeah.
to see what fields generate, but not directly off of the field itself.
Yeah, so I wish I could like show a screenshot. Maybe I'll put it on a LinkedIn post. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can click on the related action of a specific field, or was it a report? And then you can just generate all of the fields associated with it. It's really helpful when you're creating calculated fields.
Okay.
Um, I'll try to see if I can include a screenshot in post
Or are you
production.
referring to like a business object where you can see like the related business objects?
That's one thing. No, I'm talking
Okay.
about something else.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll definitely send you the screenshot later.
Awesome. I'm
But yeah,
excited
I
to see it.
discovered this very recently, maybe like a few months ago, and it's been very helpful.
Okay.
Um, but I appreciate that, Glenn. Glenn, if a client is listening to this episode, what is your expertise? What are your top modules that you can help with?
It's definitely Workday recruiting. I actually did mention I was a recruiting product lead while at my partner firm, for
Nice.
about 3 years. So that enabled me to have monthly meetings with Workday, give them feedback, from other consultants and clients, get exposure to new functionality, and really have at least help shape the Workday product, I like to think.
Yeah.
So that was an area I specialized in early on. HCM, talent, reporting is not an area I'm certified in, but as you may have been able to
To
assume,
guess.
I really enjoy, um, getting those discovery boards, if you're familiar, or kind of the new dashboards. Um, I've really enjoyed that. Security updates or security optimization. Um, those are kind of the areas that I've focused on.
Love that. And where can we reach you?
Absolutely. You can reach me at my email address, Glen at hcmdesignsolutions.com.
I'll put that email in the show notes and in the description if
Thank you.
anyone is curious. Can we also reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Of course. Yeah. You can find my LinkedIn profile. Hmm.
Perfect, amazing. I'll show that as well. But I appreciate your insights, Glenn. It's not our first conversation, not our last, and I always enjoy them. Always learning something new, especially because we're in different areas. Um, so I appreciate you being on the podcast today.
I appreciate you. And again, honored to be here. And I really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. Thank you very much, Glenn.
All right. Thanks, Molly. I'll talk to you soon.